And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Fighting Fit Show. Last week, me and Chris were talking about binging and restricting and how intuitive eating is a very important tool to be used and the other tools that you can use. So if you missed that podcast, make sure you check it out. Ideally before this one, but it probably won't be necessary because, again, we're going to dive deep into new topics and new aspects of it. But again, that's the theme of this week's podcast, and definitely worth checking out the last podcast that we did, titled Binging and Restricting. So, Chris, when we left off, you were talking about something.
I was, but first I think we should have we chat about Hellenbach, what happened at Hellenbach. We did that over the weekend, got a good few members in, and Hellenbach is an 8K course. There's lots of obstacles. First thing you do is you hop over a bale of hay, you go for a small jog, and then you dunk yourself into some ice water. When you come out, you have a headache, it's painfully cold, but as you start hopping over little, what do you call them, drills, or like
Drills.
Little drills. You start heating up, your adrenaline starts going, and it starts you off with a bang. Then
we should make it known. Very, very big drills, very deep grooves, and very large hills.
I was like bunny hopping across each one. I thought it was heavy.
For a while.
Did it like 6 times, and I was like, okay. There's like 15 more. I was like, calm down. There was the crawl through muck and tires and all that sort of stuff. What was your favorite obstacle?
The lake.
The lake, yeah, that was my favorite too.
Yeah, for sure, the lake. Well, that's where it all ended for you, isn't it?
It was. So there was loads of hills and all that sort of stuff as well.
Maybe you should explain to the people, Chris, what happened. What happened to you?
Maybe I should. Okay, so when we do stuff like this here, I usually tend to show off a little bit, and I did a load of extra running. I ran up to some obstacles way ahead of everyone, and then I ran back for everyone to catch up, and then I'd run back and do it with them. And then you goaded me into giving you piggybacks up hills and all this sort of stuff, and I was very, very easily persuaded, so I started giving you piggybacks. And then just before, there was this little like peg challenge where you have to like hold on to the pegs and just sort of like Joe monkey across. And just before that, 2 girls ran up, and they were like jogging. I told them to hurry up, and they were like, well, at least we're running. So I sprinted on past them, and then when I got down to the end of the hill, my VMO on my right leg started cramping up, and I was like, oh crap. So did the pegboard thing, and then got through that. Ed gave me some what do you call it, like a gel pack thing with electrolytes and carbohydrates and all that sort of stuff, and that gave me like a new lease of life. I was like, oh, happy days. So we started running again, and when we jumped into the water, I don't know if it was the cold or whatever it was, but like both my calves started cramping up when we jumped into the water first. So I just sort of like floated to the balance. What would you call that thing? The little harbor yoke.
It was like an unstable like with little buoyant boxes. It's a wee walkway.
Yeah, that was very, yeah. So the walkway anyway. So the walkway, I don't know, would have been maybe like blocks of maybe 1 meter squared, would you say, or a foot squared, something like that there. And you had to, they built like a big platform of it, and you'd walk on it, but then the platform split into 2 different sides, like it forked, and then you had to walk on like one at a time. And if someone like wobbled down one side, like it vibrated the whole way through. And just ahead of us, there was 2 people who were like on their hands and knees crawling, terrified to jump into the water. And like someone behind us was, I don't know if they were jumping or what they were doing, but like my legs were all, like cramping up, just even trying to balance. And when we got to the end anyway, I jumped into the water. Everyone started going again. Then, but not to the point where I was like too much. I was like, all right, I can still keep going. And then we got up, there was a slide. I ran and dived headfirst into that, hit the water face first, and then legs started cramping up again in the water. And I was like, oh crap. And we have a life vest as well. But then I basically like backstroked over to the thing to get up. And as I was getting up on the thing, I lifted my leg to about hip height. And then my legs just said, no, we're done.
That's enough for you, Chris. That'll do it.
Yeah, so I was actually really annoyed because I was looking forward to there was another one where you jump off into the water from like how high would you say that is?
10 feet.
Would you say 10 feet? I'd say it was a bit more than that.
I'm not very good at
But anyway, a big jump into the water, and I didn't get to do that. I had to call the medics. I had two people bloody underneath rubbing both my legs trying to get them to not lock up, and ended up having to be stretchered out, which was
Well, fair
an
play to you.
experience.
Hell and back.
That's it. I went to hell anyway. Oh, it was very painful.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, even though that happened, that was still the best hell and back out of all of them.
That really
How many
was
times
honestly.
we've done hell and back like 8 times or something like that, and every year that we do it, it just gets better and better. Except for we did it once at night, and I didn't really like that one.
I actually really liked the fact that it was at night, but I feel like the course just wasn't great.
Yeah, it was only 5 p.m. It was very, very, very cold, and then the
Just
showers
and
were
it's
cold as
just
well.
yeah, it was like walking through a wee like a very shallow lake, so you're just wet up to your ankles, and then like just a load of like fences and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it was
alright.
meh. But the
But
last one was class.
they were really innovative, and loads of different things like little quality of life improvements. Like the tunnels, like didn't have any gravel in them this time, whereas I remember them all graveled out before. It was just awful. The snipers seemed to have had a change of heart, and they were going for arses, so they're just shooting the glutes instead of shooting everybody in the legs and the arms and stuff, which is absolutely brutal.
Which you
They had
escaped.
I escaped under the cover of you.
I got shot 3 times in the arse. It was stung so bad. It stung so bad. It wasn't like you. It felt like they were more powerful than regular use because I've done airsoft a good few times, and these ones hurt a little bit more.
Could have been the could have just been the experience. You know, you're wet, you're running, you're tired. They were closer, maybe.
Could be, could be. So, what was the biggest takeaway from it?
Teamwork makes the dream work. There really was a great sense of camaraderie on the day. Like we really had a great group. Obviously, we had the two guys, Sonia and Vitas, that ran on ahead. They like absolutely smashed it. They did like an hour 45 or 50 or something like that, and show you and her fella Dave, is it?
Alan, I think.
Alan, sorry. Um, they did it really quick as well. I'm not sure it's actually their time, but around the 2 hour mark, and it took us, the big team of about 20 people, 4 hours.
4 hours. That's what it took. Jesus.
Quarter past
Yeah, it
one,
was
quarter
mad.
past five.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big trek. But having to like help everyone up through all the obstacles and all that sort of stuff and waiting for people is it makes it way better. That's what I think anyway. Like going through some of the tunnels or going over some of the obstacles, and when you're finished, you wait for everyone and you see how they did and how they reacted. Like it's
So
just
that's where the
it's such a good
banter.
day. Yeah, that's where
100%.
the banter is. But also every year you do get tempted to just sort of like, all right, let's see how fast I can do it.
Yeah, I haven't done that in years.
So that was hell and back. It was great. We got some cool pictures as well. But let's talk about our binge and restrict mentality and how to overcome it. So the first thing here is I have self-reflection, explore body image. How far did we get? I think we only got
I,
to
I I think
intuitive eating, was it?
no, I think what you were talking about just when we wrapped up last time, you were asking me what I thought about diet and culture.
Yeah, so what do you think about diet and culture? And I was going to say, one of the things here is reject the diet mentality and understand the negative effects of diet
Maybe
and
that's
diet
what it was.
culture.
Yeah, rejecting the diet mentality. Maybe I think that's where we left off.
Yeah. Now, again, this is not prescriptive advice for anyone, but for some people who may be developing orthorexia, it might be a good idea.
Or even just beginners in general. Like I mean, consistency is what should come first. I think for most beginners, like the whole thing where there's a right way or a wrong way to do something. It's like, manage your calories and increase the amount of good food you're eating that would be enough for an awful lot of people starting off, and that's both enough good advice and enough of a challenge. It's like taking on too much too soon is really going to be, the detriment of an awful lot of people. As I said, at the nth degree of that is orthorexia, where you start taking everything too seriously all the time. Or I would say maybe the more common thing is for people to just get overwhelmed and just kind of opt out because they're not enjoying it.
Yeah, well, that's mainly it. Like I think the with the precision nutrition course that we did, it breaks everyone down into three different categories, and Level 1 is like your average Joe, someone's just trying to lose weight, get fit, get healthy. Level 2 is like, let's say, your amateur competitor, someone who needs to be a certain weight for a weight class. You know, they're motivated, they're disciplined, they have decent cooking skills and all that sort of stuff. And then level 3 is like, you know, your professional athlete or your model or your bodybuilder, or someone who really does have to take it seriously for to hit like a certain goal or to get a certain criteria. And I think it's important to understand that some behaviors are unhealthy. Like they're not good. They're not cohesive to sustainability or to living a healthy, full life. Like if you're like, there's a reason why not everyone looks like Arnie. You know, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. There's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of stuff and a lot of suffering that you have to do to get there. So if you are someone who thinks that you have to be eating like chicken and broccoli at an exact time, and like you're sacrificing social events and you're sacrificing your own mental health for these dietary decisions, and you don't need to, like, and there's no real reason for it, it's just because you feel like you need to look a certain way, well then I think you should really, really have a look at it and become aware of the negative aspects of that diet. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely such a thing as taking on too much. And like as I said, it's like, yeah, if your wage packet doesn't depend on it, it's like why are you going to such an extreme? And one of the reasons that people go to such an extreme is because they want the result quickly, you know, and that's going to be the real detriment here. It's like time is what it's going to take, really, above everything else. It's going to take showing up every single day, and it's probably going to be longer. Like I was talking to one of the ladies today, and she was talking to me about push-ups. Like, oh, you know, I'm kind of stuck in my plateau of push-ups. I was like, I'll give it 2 years. She's like, fuck you. And it's like, but seriously, it's like I remember looking at you and you doing push-ups and you can maybe do 40 push-ups and I can maybe only do 15 or 20. And now I can do maybe 40, but it's like that's like 8 or 9 years later.
Mm.
You know, it's like, and I'm not saying that that's what it takes all the time, but I'm saying it's like, look, for your average to go up, it's probably going to take a year, you know, like not weeks, not days. It's like you could probably get your average up, you know, small marginal gains, but to show up consistently with, you know, your PB, you know, at one stage PB was 10 push-ups, and now it's like now you're not happy with 10 push-ups. It's like in order for your PB to become something that's easy work, it's like that's going to take 6 months at least.
Well, like it does. It also depends on how much time and energy you put into it as well. But
Yeah,
like
really,
the
yeah,
thing
if
that
you're
you're on
really
about
specialized in
is
something.
is scale, taking like your perspective to how do I'm how do I explain it? Like to step back and look at it in a longer time frame instead of like a week to week time frame. When you're doing this sort of stuff, it can be helpful to look at it at like, let's say, a day to day basis, a week to week basis, a month to month basis, and then like, let's say, a quarter to quarter basis, and then like 6 months and then a year. Like looking at it from all those different perspectives will help inform you in your behaviors and your goals. And if you look at yourself from where you were, let's say 3 months ago, Joan, you've made massive improvements, especially if you're using the level method, and you've seen that you've gone up in some levels. Um, I think that will help inform your decisions and help reassure you that, like, you're on the path, you can see improvement, you're not stuck. It just takes time and effort. And maybe even like sometimes when it comes to push-ups or pushing through plateaus, like you might have to come into the idea or the reality that you're not pushing hard enough as well. That's one that holds people back a lot. Something that I see is, people when they do stagnate, they sort of got their initial validation from, let's say, their diet or their performance. They hit their initial goal and like they're happy with that. And then to push even harder than that, like they have to work harder than they've done before. So I don't know what I was trying to get at, but it was something along the lines of like, if you want to push through a plateau, understanding where you come from, seeing that you can, with effort, improve, that continual effort will help improve further.
But I feel like a big part of it as well is like understand sometimes you're going to go backwards and it's going to stay the same for a long time with some things as well. It's like you're not going to get better every single day. And I remember I seen a TikTok with Kevin Hart and he was kind of talking about, you know, it's like the real grind is showing up when you're not getting results. And it's like it's very easy to show up. Oh, like today I got one, tomorrow it's 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like sure that would be easy. It's like the hard part is like right, it's 10, 10, 10, 9. All right. 9, 9, 9, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11. Oh, like that's more or less what it looks like. Like backwards is part of it too. And an awful lot of people like that we work with, it's like you're going to have a busy life as well. You've got other priorities. Like, are you, like it might look a little bit more linear if you were at this and this is all you did and all you focused on. But it's like you're doing other stuff. It's like you've just been on holidays, you know, you're trying to do a run as well, you're trying to do this, you're focusing on your deadlift too, you're doing your mobility. It's like, obviously it's all going to kind of feed into itself eventually, but at the same time, it's like you're not only doing this one thing. And so, sometimes you might be more tired and that's why you're pulling back. For ladies, you've got your cycle. What week of your cycle are you on? It's like, did you gain some weight lately? How's your diet? How's your sleep? What are you doing outside here? It's like, have you been consistent with your habits? And on top of that, it's like, it's a very multi-layered issue. It's like, and in general, it will always improve if you're reasonably and relatively consistent with it, but it won't always improve every single time. And that's tough for people to take sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely frustrating. Frustrating is
But-
the key emotion there.
But the thing about it is like, once you learn that, it's like, oh, well, then it's par for the course. Now you understand. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, understanding that like progress, just like if you actually understand that progress isn't linear, well, then it takes the pressure off. It's like, oh, even though your reps went down, the next one you might go up. Or it might be a sign that you need a little bit of rest as well. Like sometimes I noticed when I was training like flat out, there'd be weeks where my progress wasn't linear and I would feel pretty bad about it. Like my bench, one of the key markers for me in terms of my strength would be, how many times can I bench 100 kilos? And it went back from, I got it up to about 12, and then it dropped back down to like 8. And I didn't know if it was because I didn't sleep, or because my nutrition was bad, or because I was tired, or maybe my head wasn't in it, or whatever it was. But then like the next week, bumped right back up to where it was. And that's not every day is the same. Like, you're not a robot, you're someone who has like different levels of motivation on different days, different levels of sleep, different priorities, different levels of nutrition, and consistency is really important because it lets you build off that. And when you have a consistent plan or a consistent routine, well then, if something's awry out of that and then you see a different performance, you can like correlate, let's say, oh, I only slept 6 hours instead of 8 last night. Maybe that's why my bench isn't as strong. Does that make sense? Like, that's
100%.
I think having the routine gives you that structure or that information.
Definitely. So coming back to kind of diet and culture and eating habits and that kind of stuff, one of the issues with diet culture and, maybe a little bit kind of what we're already on is kind of loving where you're at. Like, if you always look forward and you're always comparing yourself to where you could be or where you should be, it's like, I feel like that adds an awful lot of pressure to people. It's like, listen, you're not going to get better every day. And where you are is probably, better than where you were at one stage. And you were wishing to be here at one stage. Now you're here and you're still looking forward. It's like, where is the appreciation for the work that you've already done? And I find like a fine balance between looking forward for motivation and inspiration and looking back kind of say, well, look, that's how far I've come. So it's like, we want to use them. And then also living in the present and enjoying the now. It's like, you probably have a fit, healthy, well-tuned body, at least, at the current level you're at. Like, let's say you're yellow. It's like, maybe you're white at one stage. Let's say you're orange, now you want to be blue. It's like, well, you're still orange, you're still doing the push, but you're still doing that. And so learn to appreciate that. And as it relates to the diet culture, we're constantly comparing ourselves to the models, that we see, and, not even the models, but the models in their best pose at the best angles,
in the best light in Photoshop,
looking just that way. Like, never mind even Photoshop, looking just that way for that one photo, flexed, pumped, good lighting, good angles, all that kind of stuff. It's like that's what you're comparing it to, and that's realistically not realistic.
Yeah, no, it's really not. It's really sad as well. But
especially
I think
because, it's because everyone's different. It's like, so you're comparing. Like, if you were even saying, it's like, oh well, I like, because I do this all the time. It's like, I understand for the most part what my genetics are like and what my capacity is and what my ability is, and so I'm trying. Okay, well, if that's what they look like, well, I could look something similar, and I'm not there yet, and I might be there in 10 years. It's like, but to just go, I don't look like that, and I've been working out for 2 months. It's like, come on, that's not. Like, you're not being fair to yourself. They're someone completely different with completely different lifestyle, completely different genetics, completely different training history, completely different commitments.
Yeah, well, look, and probably their whole life is built around it as well. So, and they're probably making the unhealthy sacrifices and the unhealthy decisions just to look a certain way, which is
that's
fair.
That's a good point.
But I think we should first off understand the negative effects of diet culture. So, what are the negative effects?
Well, I actually have a list. Promotes unrealistic beauty standards.
There you go. That's just what we talked about.
It
So
encourages
again, the model's in the perfect situation, the perfect lighting.
Yeah. Encouraging restrictive eating. So obviously, you want to look a certain way. Most people are going to opt for get less fat, eat less food.
What do you think about restrictive eating? Like, and what would you define as restrictive? Like, if you've seen a client and they're starting to talk to you about doing these different things, what would be red flags for you?
Well, restrictive eating is a tool. So it's like if somebody was in a glass house and they're going around with a hammer, I'd be nervous.
Go on,
You know.
elaborate. What do you mean?
So it's like you've, like I said, you've got no skills, no tools, nothing. But it's like your only thing is restrict. It's your only tool. It's all you've got. Whereas if I have a consultation with somebody or a conversation with somebody and they're after smashing it and they're doing really well, and they're like, oh hey look, I want to try fast, and I'm like, no problem. Whereas if I see somebody, they're really overweight, they're really unorganized, they're not trying their or they're not consistent with their sessions. They've never been consistent with their nutrition in terms of just getting the bare minimum protein, calories in a reasonable range, hitting their steps, and they want to try fast. And I'm like, well, you're just doing this as a Hail Mary. Now, again, that's not always like some people, that's what they need to kickstart them. Fair enough. But it's like,
I found personally,
that's a red flag.
I found personally with fasting that the results are really, really good in terms of like weight loss. But as soon as I was on the fast, like first thing I would do is like, I remember the last time I did it last time I did like a 5-day fast. I think I dropped like 7 kilos, something like that. And then the day that I stopped, I would like, first off, I was literally fantasizing about food all the time. I would be on, like the like Facebook Reels or whatever, little videos, and it'd be like these like videos of basically like food porn where they're making like all these mad stuff with like ice cream and like cheese and like I was spending way more time looking at that. When I say way more time, like just scrolling, just being like, that's amazing, and then like saving ones, being like, I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna make that, and then when I did it, I ended up having like a big ice cream cake thing that I made in Stevens. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
It was sickening, but really nice at the same time. It was like the outside of it was like a ice cream sandwich thing, cut in half and like stacked to the side. It was unbelievable. But
I can't remember the dates that I fasted, but if I went through my TikTok, my liked videos, I could tell you exactly. So it would just be that's where all the steak and burritos and food recipes that was all it was. Like normally it's sprinkled in, that's all it was. And so again,
yeah,
we can start creating this obsessive mindset with food, which again, you could maybe, say it might not be a bad thing, because for me, for example, like I didn't start properly getting into vegetables and liking them until I was generally hungry. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to be a little bit more.
There's definitely there's definitely pros to it.
Yeah,
There's definitely pros to it. There's definitely cons to it. Yeah, there's a nuance
so
to
it's a tool, 100%.
But like the downsides are, it gives you this yearning for food that's like, it doesn't feel like it's normal. And then after that as well, after you do it, because you fast for long, like, and you've seen such quick results, well then like the slow and steady approach is way, way less appealing. So much less appealing. Like if you can lose in like 5 days, you can lose 7 kilos, or do you want to wait 2 months? Like what one sounds more appealing to someone who is in that get quick or that quick fix mentality. And then the annoying part about it was that like I gained like most of the way back in I think about a week as well, because I was like I was getting while the getting was good. And
exactly, the habit
like,
the habit wasn't sustainable. You didn't do it in a sustainable way. You didn't do it with a long term mindset. And even if you did, like obviously a 5-day fast is never going to be sustainable.
I actually at the time in my head I was like, I'm going to make sure I get the most out of this and all. And it's just like I just undid it and I forgot about it so quickly. And I think that would be an experience that most people would have as well, unless again I don't have the like most solid mindset all the time. But even if someone did, it's very, very hard to overcome your own biology and doing that binge restrict thing where you don't have anything and then you can have whatever you want. Like it just slingshots you in the wrong direction. That's what I think.
Yeah, 100%, exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's like restriction and suppression is generally going to lead to some kind of binge or overindulgence.
Exactly. So
and again,
after that,
not for everybody. So do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, go for it. Keep going.
So shames individuals for food choices, and so again, yeah, this is kind of like where you start like seeing, maybe an extreme thing, like all
you're having carbs with that.
Yeah,
carbs with that.
This is it.
Just you got an ice cream today.
But not even other people, like not because I never got that. I literally never got it from other people, but it was like self shame.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's one of the worst. worst aspects of it.
So again, yeah, it's like, listen, good and bad foods. Generally, all the courses that we've done said there is no good and bad foods, but it's
But
sometimes it's appropriate, not appropriate.
yeah, some will help you get closer to your goal, and some will keep you further away from your goal. And finding out which ones they are is important. And when you do partake in, let's say, the ones that push you away from your goal, if you do it consciously, you do it mindfully, you do it like you're actually trying to enjoy it, well, then it's worth it. If you're doing it where you're unconscious, so like you're just grazing the even out of habit, and like you're not really enjoying it, you're just sort of waffling down food, which is an experience I have. It's an experience I'm sure you had, and many other people have had, where like it after you do it, you're just looking at all the packets of crisps or whatever you have laying around, you just feel like, again, shame and guilt, and like then what you want to do next is like go to food to soothe that bad feeling again. It's like a perpetuating cycle. It sucks.
100%. And another one, foster a sense of guilt and shame around eating. So just, yeah, kind of a little bit of a continuation on that. It's like, it's just like, guilt and shame is never a good thing, especially when it's around something that you're gonna have to do all the time and something that is a process. It's like you're never really going to be finished with your nutrition. It's like there is no end result there, and that's kind of the hot and cold mentality, or the, what do they call it?
All or nothing.
All or nothing. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, we want to kind of get away from that all or nothing mentality where it's like, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. I'm right and I'm wrong. It's like, that's why, and what they mean by a balanced diet. It's like, yes, what is a balanced diet? It's like, if you were to call some things good, the things that we can all kind of categorize as good or healthy, and things that we would categorize as bad or unhealthy, is like, actually too much bad is not healthy, and too much healthy is actually unhealthy as well. So it's like we really have to try and find that little place in the middle. To say that you're never going to have cake again, I don't like cake, I don't like chocolate, I'm never going to eat it. That's a very rare person is going to be able to do that with a good mindset, to the point where it's sustainable, enjoyable. They've got all their ducks in a row. They're not stressing out about it. It's like, it's, again, for most people, it's going to be some cake, some chocolate, some fruit, some vegetables, some carbs, some fats, some proteins in balance, and that should change seasonally. And hopefully, if you're going well, it will line up with your goals, and your ability to implement will be good. It's like, and if you're struggling to implement, it's like, that's where we might need to go down the road of like, right, okay, now we've got some deep work to do. So why can't you implement? It's like, what is this cycle that you're in? How do we break it? Maybe a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, maybe a little bit of counseling, maybe just a little bit of personal development, reading some books, this kind of stuff.
Well, one of the things that I think helps me have a better relationship with my food is, instead of having like good and bad, it's like, it's better or worse, and having that scale. So like, let's say like have like a scale of 1 to 5. 1 is like is worse and 5 is better. So like if you're deciding for dinner, you want to have pizza, well then you can ask yourself, like, let's say you're hungry, middle of the night, you're on your phone, you're looking at Domino's, and you're like, all right, I really want Domino's, but what's better or what's worse? So like, what better decision can you make rather than what's worse? Like, when you ask yourself that question first, unless you're being completely self-destructive, when you ask yourself what's better, what's worse, you can instantly populate your head with a few ideas. This would be better, this would be worse. All right, well, like, just make the better decision, or be 100% content and 100% happy with the fact that no, you actually really want pizza tonight, and that's what you're going for, and then own it, and then take it. But then also, like, understand that like that might hold you back from your goals, which is fine if you're willing to make that trade. But if you're not, and it's going to leave you all sad and shameful and guilty, well then pick the decision that won't leave you like that. So
something I used to always ask people when they blow out for the weekend was, "Oh, did you enjoy it?" No. Great. So what did we achieve then? So no mental reprieve. You didn't feel like you got a break from diet and mentality because you were still judging yourself super harshly, and you feel like you failed. It's like, oh, sorry,
like
and you feel like you're no closer to your goal, which you're not. And so it's like, right, you're
no,
no closer,
probably further away.
Yeah, exactly. You're no closer to your goal, and you didn't enjoy yourself. It's like, well, now that's a mentality issue, because if you had at least said, right, okay, you know what it is, I've had enough of dieting for this week. I need to take this break so that way I can work consistently next week, and hopefully all going well next weekend. I've cleared my schedule, blah 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 blah. It's like, that's what step away from diet ideally would be, as opposed to oh fuck, right, I can't control myself. I have to have this. Oh, shame, 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 shame. Or sometimes, it's like just eat, don't think, don't think, don't think, and then, or enjoy yourself, everything's great, and then after it's just like shame.
Yeah, I think it's also important since we're talking about the shame thing and the guilt complex around it. Um, like the foods that are designed today are literally designed to be like hyper palatable, like the products or the food products. Sorry, like a Domino's pizza is designed to be as tasty as possible. It's designed to hijack your biology, and that it's normal to crave it. It's normal to want it, and that like having the feeling of wanting it doesn't make you bad at all. Having the feeling that you want a Chinese after a night out, like you and everyone else. Do you get me? It's like you're not alone. You're not on your own with it. It's very, very normal. But you do need to, let's say, identify with your better self in those sort of situations, um, to sort of make a better decision, even if it's just for a split second to do it. Make the decision, then just follow through with the decision. I feel
And
like that would help you
if
an
the
awful
vast
lot.
majority of people are in the losing battle, like if you look around at the average, I think the average person is overweight. So it's like, you know, you can normalize it and sympathize. It's like there's a lot of people struggling with this. It's very normal. But then I feel like a big part of it is the breakaways, the people who are, hyper successful in the dieting culture. It's like maybe we label them too much as like, oh, they don't do that. They do. We do. It's like again, because I know I've been labeled, oh, you're perfect, or your diet, you never cheat. It's like, listen, that's
Yeah.
not what
Whoa.
that's not what it is at all. It's like you're completely missing the point. What I do is I have a base layer of habits that I do consistently. Protein, fruit, like I mean, vegetables. Maybe I would eat one or two a day, like peppers, onions, something like that. As
Nothing
part
too
of the big,
fancy.
yeah,
You're not
as
eating
part of the main meal,
asparagus or avocado.
or chicken, broccoli, and rice. Maybe broccoli is part of like a Sunday roast or something like that. But it's like for the most part, it's like a serving of protein every meal, moderating my calories depending on my goal. Trying to have vegetables in my meal, but or my dinner. But again, mainly packing my lunchbox full of fruit, protein yogurts, Greek yogurt, whole foods, whole animal sources of protein. For me, I'm not a vegetarian. Portion of carbs at every meal, portion of fat at every meal, and then working out pretty much 80% of the days in the year. It's like that, and again for 17 years. Like I've been training now. Again, the nutrition part not even, but it's like I've been training from I'm 11 years of age. So it's like
Yeah.
if you, and again, part of that is for me, my experience is the first 12 years were done very, very badly with lots and lots of mistakes.
Yeah. No,
So it's like
like
if you're in year 4 or 5 as an adult, you could probably get away from a lot of those mistakes because I was only a kid. But it's like still, it's like you could at
I
least
can
give your
with like no like with the pressure of trying to make of weight cuts and all that sort of stuff as well. Like that, like I can't stress enough how damaging that is for your relationship with food, and how again it just pushes you into that quick fix mentality. Because like I don't know about you, but like when it comes to making weight, it was like like all right, sacrifice. Like if you're not the kind of person who's willing to sacrifice absolutely everything to do that, well then it's like you weren't a good fighter, you weren't a good boxer, you weren't committed, and all that sort of stuff as well.
the other side of it as well, like, but just even on that, it's like I could have lost, like for me, the 2 kilos that I needed to make, so much easier. Like this quick fix mentality, at least how I did it, is like it wasn't even the best strategy. Like in terms of getting the results, like oh, I burned all the boats and got the results. Like I ate less shitty food. That's what I did. And so I was more fatigued on fight day because I didn't know what I was doing. And
Yeah.
so again, like understanding what a useful strategy would look like. It's like, right, well, how do you cut your weight? It's like, well, actually,
It's
geez, look, you can
easier. It's
you can
easier.
you can eat loads of these foods, but you just have to eat the right food. It's like my go-to was like soup and a roll for weight loss. It's like I'm just eating a big thing full of butter and bread. It's like gobshite.
But that's why we have the job that we have today, because we've
But
learned from
all
these
as I
these
say, all you
mistakes.
can do is use the tools that you had at the time. That's the tools I had at the time. And again, you learn as you go. And a lot of people I know, and me included, it's like we learn the hard way. It's like, so don't be afraid to learn the hard way. It's like if you need to learn the hard way, it's like again, if you learn from other people's mistakes, if you keep your eyes open and listen to your coach, you can avoid a lot of the trappings. But sometimes I feel like I don't believe it until it happens to me. And it's like, okay, now I
Yeah.
get it. You can't outwork a bad diet. Watch me.
Let me try. Watch me try. Like even at that, you can't outwork a bad diet. Like you act like you can, but then it's not a bad diet, if that makes sense. If it's like, if you're still getting toward it, like, here's the definition. I said it a few times before in the podcast, but the definition of a good diet, and it's important to understand this. So you have a good diet and a bad diet, or whatever, or like better or worse. Good nutrition helps you look and feel your best. It helps you perform optimally, and you enjoy it, and it helps get you towards your goals. They're the key factors. And if like, let's say you can work really, really hard. Let's say you run marathons, like you're really, was it Cameron Haynes who's running 20 miles before fucking breakfast? Like, he can afford to have, like, a load of extra calories because he spent it all. Like, and you, like, I outworked a bad diet like loads of times as well. Like, I was still losing weight, still getting leaner, and I was having chocolate and ice cream and all that jazz. There was one point last year where I was having ice cream every single day. Every single day, I'd go on my lunch, finish work, or come back from lunch, I'd get a cornetto, and I would have that every single day. And because I was working out twice a day, I was going for a big walk. It didn't matter. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. And one of the big things, like, that I see for, like, let's talk about the person who's eating 1,200 calories consistently. Who is it? Generally, it's generally office workers with kids, because you sit all day for a job, so your steps are pretty terrible, or considerably low, relatively low. And then when you go home, your time isn't your own. You know, it's like you're giving it to the kids. Like, yeah, fair enough. Like, maybe you can be more active with the kids, this, that, and the other. It's like, but even if you're super active with the kids, it's like 12,000 steps. It's like, for me, I'm up at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning. I've got 12,000 steps by lunchtime. It's like, it's not the same. It's like, that's the next thing that I have. It's like, ignores the individual differences. Like, everybody is on a different race. It's like, and you might be able to afford ice cream, but does that mean that you listen to this can eat ice cream and lose weight? It's like, maybe not. If you step into Chris's skin and live his life, yes. If not, no. You know, or maybe there's some small changes either side, that if you want to have a couple beers or a cornetto or some fucking minstrels and popcorn, you know, on Friday night, whatever it is, it's like, you could probably do it, but it's going to cost you. So the question is, like, can you pay the cost? It's like, and what will it cost you? It'll cost you 5 walks a week. Maybe you know, maybe if you can't get into walk, like, maybe it's skipping for 30 minutes every day or something, you know?
100%. I think ignoring the individual differences is a key factor, because people with social media, the way it is, everyone's looking for that, like, the headline, this thing that works for absolutely everyone all the time and never fails is this. This is the thing, the one thing you've been missing.
Yeah,
And,
like, if, like, it's not as popular so much now because people kind of know it, but I know, like, 6 or 7 years ago, social media was always kind of like the miracle fat loss food. Like,
Yeah.
like, am I right? Like, this one vegetable, it's like sweet potatoes were in. You know, now it's avocados. Like, it's all these. It's like,
blueberries, antioxidants.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think everyone's just looking for that solution that will solve their problem, which is kind of sad.
But I tell you,
everyone has
I
a
tell
big
you what it
problem
is.
to
It's like,
solve.
if it was something along the lines of, like, this one food added in will make a huge big difference. Like, that's actually pretty reasonable. It's like, yeah, what about blueberries? Like, if you added blueberries into your diet and you're not eating them, it probably would give you some benefits. If you added blueberries, avocados, sweet potatoes into your diet, would you notice improvements? Probably.
Well, what do you think?
It depends on
So
what you're eating.
I also think it's important to recognize that there's something that it kind of irks me, and if it irks me, I'm guessing it would, like, annoy someone else. So you see people post on their social media being like, like, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to do that to get like this, and then it's like, it's perfect. Do you get me? The post or the image or whatever is perfect, but look, I'm still having ice cream. Yeah, like, when, like, let's say in the lead up to it, they didn't have any ice cream or like that. The only reason they're having ice cream is to celebrate the fact that the photo shoot's done. They don't have to do it. Like, they'll try, like, the balance. Key is balance, when, like, they might not actually be doing everything in balance. And, like, to be fit and healthy, like, doesn't necessarily mean ripped six pack. And although it is very nice to have, like, to be fit and healthy, it's like, do you have more energy? Do you enjoy your food? Are you're not restricting too much, and you have a good routine with your food?
No, we don't have super long, but I feel like we could get in, like, really deep into this, like that. Like, what you just said is perfect. It's like what are, like, fit for what? Like, what are you fit for? It's like, so it's like it's a very vague statement. It's like, healthy in what regards? Like, what do you mean by healthy? So it's like, those two are very loaded statements. It's like, fit is Floyd Mayweather fit? Yes. It's like, well, in comparison, all your friends aren't fit at all. All your
Exactly.
all your fitness friends, it's like, they're not fit. They're not fit for anything. Put Floyd Mayweather
Floyd,
in
I bet he can't bench 100 kilos. I guarantee it.
Put him in a CrossFit class. Like, is he fit? It's like, no. It's like, You know, it's like fit for what? Fit for darts? It's like, what do you want to be fit for? Fit to play with your grandkids? That's like, what do you want to be fit for? And obviously, there are some objective standards. Like most people should look to be intermediate. It's like that's a
Hmm.
good place to be. That's kind of what we talked about with the level method. Is like that chart. It's like orange, blue, early purple. Somewhere around there is unreal. It's like for the
Yeah.
lay person.
If
And
if you're at that fitness, you could do hammer back and your legs won't seize up in you.
who was it? Chris Bumstead. Sorry, Chris, I missed that, but yeah, good one. Sorry, I was already my next thought. Chris Bumstead. There was pictures of Chris Bumstead off season by and like just people in the street, ladies were asked like, "Oh, what do you think of this guy's physique?" Oh, he's got a dad
Dad
bod.
bod.
Sorry, Chris Bumstead. For those you don't know, is like what 4 or 5 time Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, fucking
So
Adonis of a man. Literally
if you've
like
seen
perfection.
if you've seen this man leaned out like show ready, now obviously a lot of people are listening to this and go, that's disgusting, that's wrong, horrible. It's like whatever you want to think. He's far from a dad bod. And it's
Yeah.
like we don't understand what fit and healthy is if you think that Chris Bumstead has a dad bod because he carries a little bit of pouch. And
No, even
also,
wait there, wait there, wait
I
there. He didn't even have a pouch.
yeah, no,
He
not a
didn't even
pouch.
have a
Sorry, not even
pouch.
a pouch. Chris
I know
Bumstead
the
would
photo
never.
you're on
Yeah,
about.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
He
not a
was
pouch.
literally
Yeah.
he literally right. He was just as jacked. He was just in
Yeah,
as good a shape, except he just had like I don't know, like 4 or 5% extra body fat. Like he was like
yeah.
12%,
His
maybe
skin was
30.
thicker. He had normal person skin.
Yeah, and he wasn't shit. He usually for a show did shave down wherever it was. He had a bit of fucking chest hair and all that sort of stuff. Like he was, but I'd say like literally dad bod. I
But
cannot believe
that's
like he's
but that's actually just on the separation. Like when men, if you're listening to this, when ladies talk about a dad bod, that's what they mean. They mean Chris Bumstead with a little bit of a smaller amount of body fat. Is like they still want you packed full of muscle. So it's like lads,
I think
get lifting
look
weight.
strong. Strong is
Strong,
like is
exactly.
it
Yeah,
like
like a dad bod, like your average like dad, like let's say he's a bricky, or and he let's say he's not super lean. It's like he's strong. He's strong. That's what ladies want, strong men, and men want like fit women. We used to consider fit skinny until we got a bit of sense and realized like, oh, okay, muscle is actually healthy. And so again, I think like the society perpetuates health as attractive. And back in the 1400s, when no food was about, they used to think that being overweight, like overweight chicks were attractive.
we
That
push to the extremes.
ladies who were pale were attractive because it meant that they didn't have to work out in the fields. They didn't get enough or any sunlight, so it's like they were healthy because they had loads of food and loads of free time. It's like that's a societal thing. It's like now, back in the day, it's like skinny. These coat hanger ladies were absolutely starving themselves because that's what was attractive and
Heroin
considered
chic.
heroin chic. And for lads, it's like, lads constantly get it's like the unrealistic body standards, like He-Man, like, it's like He-Man or dad bod. It's like, a dad bod is Chris Bumstead. It's like a man that's, training for the last 30 years and taking
On
small amounts of
copious
gear.
amount. Small amounts.
Like from what I know, like I'm pretty sure he doesn't take shitloads, but again, like it's
I'm pretty
relative.
sure he has a doctor who looks after his hormones very, very well. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
I'll say.
100%. And they're sub or not sub.
Super, super.
Superhuman. Like, yeah, they're well above the average, of course, especially when he's
Yeah.
building muscle. But again, I feel like the big thing is like as well. It's like it's when you want to be a sustainable athlete, you're not going to be on that chronically. It's anyway. We're
But
into the
he
steroid talk.
also has an incredible mustache.
He does model, and did he have a mullet at one stage?
Pretty sure he did.
He might have. Yeah, guys, I think
So
that's all we got time for this week. To be fair, I got to
yeah,
shoot
I think
off. We
so.
got class in 5-10 minutes. We could go part 3 on this next week, guys, if you're interested. I mean, like this diet culture is an endless topic, and I know an awful lot of people struggle with finding the right mindset and creating a healthy mentality and a healthy body. That's really why we got into doing this, trying to help people do that and come away from the bog standard mindset, which an awful lot of people have. And again, it's a maturing mindset as a culture. I feel like the lay person today knows a lot more about sustainable eating than they did 20 years ago, and that's progress. But again, there's still work to be done. Keep listening, keep working, keep learning. And that, Chris.
Maybe just we highlight for some of the stuff that we might talk about next week if people do want to listen to it. It's going about honor your hunger, make peace with food, challenge the food police, and discover satisfaction or discover the satisfaction factor. They're the next points that I would like to go into.
But I've got what do I have here? Promoting weight loss as the ultimate goal. You know, I was like just thinking, like, again, I talk to people all the time. It's like, what's the next thing? Even though the lean, it's like, oh, I want to lose more weight. It's like, no, you want to look better. Again, you want to be healthy. You just think the solution to that is lose more weight. Unhealthy relationship with food and exercise, perpetuating fat phobia, exploiting vulnerable individuals for profit, and leading to long-term health problems. So it's all ahead of you. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. See you in the next one. Peace.